Coming up next on Two Cops, One Donut.
Right, so my name is Dennis Benigno. I am the owner and founder of Street Cop Training. I started my career actually in New Jersey at the age of 19 as a corrections officer. I did that for about 2 years. I thought I'd be there for 3 days, and I ended up being there for 2 years. Um, then I moved on to I was taking tests like crazy. Became a cop in Washington D.C. for the U.S. Park Police. As soon as we got out of the academy, I was just happy to be out of jail. But as soon as we got out of the academy, I was like, "Oh, this place is bad." Like, I don't mean the city itself. Like, the agency was basically like this ship they were trying to bail water out of constantly. And so I wanted, I knew that I had to leave quickly. As a matter of fact, half my class left in the first 2 years.
One Donut Podcast. The views and opinions expressed by guests on the podcast are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of Two Cops, One Donut, its host, or affiliates. The podcast is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. We do not endorse any guests' opinions or actions discussed during the show. Any content provided by guests is of their own volition, and listeners are encouraged to form their own opinions. Furthermore, some content is graphic and has harsh language. Viewer discretion advised and is intended for mature audiences. Two Cops, One Donut and its host do not accept any liability for statements or actions taken by guests. Thank you for listening. All right, welcome back. I'm your host, Eric Levine, Two Cops, One Donut. I got with me Dennis, and I'm not going to butcher your last name. I want to say Benigno, but I'm
You
not.
butchered it. Why would you? If you said I don't want to butcher your last name, wouldn't you just follow up with like how do you pronounce it? But
I
instead, you just butchered it anyway.
yeah, it's more fun that way.
Fair enough.
Say it.
Hold on, I'm gonna adjust my camera real fast. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's cool. We got time. I am getting a little bit of I can kind of hear myself in the background of whatever your speaker system is there. That's why I wear headphones like a professional.
Is that better?
Can you hear me? Hello?
I can hear
That's
you.
better.
Yes.
Yep,
It
I can
is?
hear you, and I'm not hearing myself, so that's even better. uh I like it. Nope, now I can hear myself again.
Jesus Christ.
And we will be back. Well, I'll be here. We'll see if he comes back. Because right now, I'm just going to drop some sponsor names like Ghost Patch. Make sure you guys go to ghostpatchcustoms.com and get all of your needs for like coins and, shoulder patches, embroidery patches. I think they're called PVC, like the rubbery patches, stuff like that. You can now get real metal badges from them. We have one that we are going to be actually selling. We did sell a couple, and you'll be able to get those on their website. So,
How about now?
and let's test to see if you can hear me.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
How's your
I'm
echo?
trying to see if I can hear an echo.
Can you
No,
hear an echo?
I don't think I can.
Okay.
I think we figured it out.
Yeah. The guy who's not technologically savvy, you offered no fucking options, and I'm over here working my face off.
There we go. You look, you're a beautiful looking man. I think you got everything tuned in just fine, sir. That camera is doing you justice.
Yeah, no, I'm a good looking man. Thank you for noticing. Like on a 1 to 10, I'm probably about I would say comfortably an 8, but maybe in like Brazil, like a 9.5.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Mhm.
Do you got cauliflower ear on either ear?
No, I
No,
don't fight like that.
that'll make you a 10. Chicks dig cauliflower ear.
No question about it, but I have really good game.
Oh, I've been with the same girl since 7th grade, so I have no game. 0.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know.
Tell me you're primed for a divorce, and you tell me you're not primed for a divorce.
Nope, not at all. We actually just bought what I consider our final house.
Oh, that's
Which
good.
is
Oh,
how I
like,
got
you're
the
like,
podcast.
is it a mausoleum?
Ooh, that's a good question. I wouldn't mind being buried here for as much as we paid. So,
Where are
you
you located?
I am in the DFW of Texas, sir.
Oh, nice, dude. Let me ask you this. The show's called Two Cops, One Donut.
Yep.
Who's the second cop?
Okay, so I'll give you the backstory on that. The show Two Bears, One Cave. You ever heard of that one? A comedian show, Tom Segura and Burt Kreischer.
Bro, of course.
Okay, so you know those guys. I kind of jacked the name from them. Two bears. They're two big hairy dudes in their man cave doing a podcast. Fair enough. And so I was like, well, I am physically two cops. I am a military police officer still for the Air Force. I'm with the 802nd Security Forces, and I am a civilian cop. I don't say where on the show. I keep them separate because, as you know, we can easily be shit canned from. I am still currently a police officer. So I am two cops, and obviously, cops and donuts go together. And then later on, after I'd done like 3 or 4 episodes, somebody that I work with was like, "Hey, bro, like two girls, one cup." I was like, "Oh shit, that wasn't the intent." But I do officially have a second cop now. This is more recent within the last few months, and that's Banning Sweatland, who is a deputy out of North Texas, and he is that's his real name, by the way, Banning Sweatland. So it's pretty cool name for a deputy. But yeah, he's my other cop.
So, dude, I've never heard of somebody named Banning. Where does that come from?
I don't know either. The only thing I
Does
can
he
remember.
know?
Do you remember Johnny Quest, the cartoon?
I do. Yes.
That Banning was the guy's name on there. That's the only
Did his
name I can.
parents do a lot of mescaline?
I don't. It's a badass show. Remember the music at the beginning? Get you all fucking jazzed up. Like
How old are you?
42.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. You're old enough to know that stuff.
How old are you?
I'll be 43 this month.
Oh, so so we're the same age. Hell yeah, brother. Uh,
1981, baby.
that's not. We're gonna have a good time. Okay. So for those that don't know, Dennis, well, I don't know this personally. Are you still a police officer?
I am not.
Okay. So the way the format of this show goes is we kind of humanize first. I want to know who you are, where you're from, why you got into a life of service, and then we'll get into like whatever it was you specialized in law enforcement, and then where you are today. So the whole idea is we get to educate people a little bit, bridge the gap through education. We humanize, and we go down little rabbit holes and stories and stuff like that. We can talk about street cops and whatnot, if that's something you're open to. If not, then we'll just go
Yeah,
down
I'm
the
open
road.
to it. Can we call it the real company name of Street Cop?
Street cop, not street cops.
That's right.
Okay, my bad. I thought
Street
it was
Cops is a group of people right now working together to achieve a law enforcement objective.
fair. I That's fair. My bad. My bad. Damn, why you gotta jump on me? Come on, man.
Alright, so, my name is Dennis Benigno. I am the owner and founder of Street Cop Training. I started my career actually in New Jersey at the age of 19, as a corrections officer. I did that for about 2 years. I thought I'd be there for 3 days, and I ended up being there for 2 years. Um, then I moved on to I was taking tests like crazy, became a cop in Washington, DC for the US Park Police. As soon as we got out of the academy, I was just happy to be out of jail, but as soon as we got out of the academy, I was like, "Oh, this place is bad." Like, I don't mean the city itself, like, the agency was basically like this ship they were trying to bail water out of constantly, and so I wanted, I knew that I had to leave quickly. As a matter of fact, half my class left in the first 2 years. Got a job with my agency, my final agency where I worked. I had to go 3 police academies, unfortunately, and the academies, in New Jersey at the time, and I think still are, they suck. They're very paramilitary. I have a whole opinion about that. I don't think it's necessary, contrary to what people like about the romance of police academies. But that sucked. And then, I did 14 years total, got injured in the line of duty, and subsequently medically retired. A couple years before that, I started a company called Street Cop Training. People ask why I started it because I was I cared and I was extremely frustrated with the fact that nobody was helping police officers do their jobs, and they were doing them so badly with good intent, but just so badly that I thought I could help, and turns out I can.
Okay, so what got you into police work to begin with? Like you went into corrections or whatever. Did you have family members in? Was there somebody that inspired you to get in? Was there some sort of tragedy, trauma that made you do it?
I was just picked on in high school, and I wanted to be a bully, and so,
Oh,
I've been told that by a lot of people. So I was
stereotypical, yeah.
not. You might find my yearbook and learn that I was the class clown and probably the most popular kid in the school, but that's not true. I was a bully. I wanted You know what, honestly, dude, maybe it's just quite the opposite. I actually hated bullies so much, and I hated that people were helpless, and I always thought, like, there should be those that step up and have the bravery to protect others. That's really what I was motivated for. Plus, I'm also a complete attention deficit disorder lunatic and an adrenaline junkie at its core, and so that was a job that satisfied those needs for me. Like, the more dangerous and insane, the more I'm in. There was like a saying my kids asked me that day. I was like, they're like, "What were you like as a kid?" I'm like, basically, people said, "Oh, Dennis will do it." That's kinda like whenever there was something that somebody wouldn't do, I would do it.
Yeah.
I wasn't afraid, and I enjoyed the insanity.
You didn't even have to get to the double dog dare. You were just on it.
Dude, I came up with them, and you didn't have to dare. I invented them myself. I just came up with these ideas. I'm like, "I'll do that shit and make everybody laugh," and that's what I did.
That's
I
awesome.
was
Okay.
never scared, dude, never scared.
What year did you get in?
2001.
Okay, so damn, you got on during 9/11. Was it
It
before or
was
after?
10/9/01. As a matter of fact, I've told this story in the past. We were advised that a lot of recruits were being taken out of the academies and sent to ground zero to sort through the rubble. So I pretty much assumed that then within a couple weeks, we would also be at ground zero sorting through the rubble because it was a big cleanup. But we weren't. We never got sent there.
Okay. Sorry, I got distracted. This new studio.
Did your the gay porn hub come up again for you?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Unfortunately,
Yeah,
they
okay,
won't leave me alone. You buy one subscription one time and cancel, and they keep coming after you.
really.
So, okay. Now, New Jersey and New York are right by each other. I'm trying to figure out, like, population wise in the area that you were a cop or in corrections, like, how many were they housing when you first started corrections?
13 of 1,400. I don't know how many housing units there were, but it was 1 cop for every 46 inmates in max
Holy
security, 48
shit.
inmates, 48. So I was
Holy-
one, it was direct supervision, and I worked there was 4 significantly dangerous housing units, and I worked it. Actually, as a matter of fact, they tried to take me out of it, like, later on in my career when they started realizing I was a very competent human being, not just a kid who was 20. They wanted to put me down into, like, the minimum security places because it was like a break, right? Like, you would have a second officer to work with. I think those house 128 inmates apiece. We had 2 cops in there, and I actually went to the boss and I said, "Can you just put me back in where I belong? Like, I get there's freedom down here and shit like that, but I can't tolerate these kids down here. I need to be with the real criminals because I got a real good understanding and they got an understanding of me, and there's an equal amount of respect up there." I was not somebody who came in there and wanted to give everybody a hard time. We had mutual respect for each other. Um, I didn't talk to them like they were pieces of shit, and I kept a nice orderly place. Matter of fact, one time I went on vacation. I banged out sick too from Cancun, and I came back and I looked at my housing sheet. Half my fucking housing unit was gone. I was like gone for a week, and this like never happens. These are maximum security
Where'd
guys.
everybody
They're all
go?
25, 27 fucking murderers in the place, right? Like these are some real dudes. Everybody from my unit's going to prison for a very long time. And so I came back and I walk in. I never forget saying to like my shift started at 2 o'clock. I walked in. Whoever's left. I'm like, what the fuck happened here? And they're like, dude, there's a lot of beef here. Um, and I'm like, they're like, and we didn't want to do it while you were here. We knew you were going on vacation, so we all waited. We all agreed to wait till you left to do it. And I'm
Holy
like, they're like,
shit.
that's how much they respect it. And I was a kid. I was 20, 21 years old,
Yeah.
and I was like, damn. But like, and I would go to other housing units, like, "Yo, what happened?" Like, "Ah, we had to squash this beef with this guy here, this guy," they didn't talk like that because 'cause I'm talking like gangster from Goodfellas, but yeah, man, like, everybody fought. I was like, "Where did these guys go?" Like, it was a father and son, like, "Yeah, they fought too, they had to get it out." But nobody wanted to do it while you were here, so we waited.
Wow. So that's similar to working, one of the shittiest beats out there. Hey y'all, Eric Levine, two cops, one donut. I'm out here currently on my military time, and I thought I'd take a second to kind of give a shout out to my sponsor, Peregrine. I've roughly got about 18 years of law enforcement under my belt, and I've seen a lot of really cool advancements in law enforcement. The biggest advancements in law enforcement, I think, are like fingerprints, DNA testing, and then more recently, I would say license plate readers. Those things have all changed the game in law enforcement. And now I think Peregrine is on that level that's going to change it up. But I've had people ask me, what is Peregrine? And I want to talk about that. Now, there's a caveat to it. Peregrine is so in depth, I'm only going to talk about one small feature that it's able to do because I can't fit everything that they do in one little ad. All right, I'm going to take you on a little mental journey. So if you're law enforcement, you work for an agency, this is for you guys. So follow along with me. Imagine you're an investigator and you're working on a property crime. We'll say a property crime specifically like air conditioning thefts. That's a big one in Texas. You've had 2 cases this week alone. And typically speaking, unless you go talk to the other detectives that you work with, you're not going to know for at least a week or maybe a month or two that they also have AC thefts that are related to your thefts. In investigations, there's like this internal gap of sharing information. Here's where Peregrine starts to flip things on its head, so to speak. Peregrine can sift through your reports and start to identify the detectives and the cases that match the similar MO to your cases that you're working. And it can bridge that information and present it to you in an easy to read package. Well, hold on. It gets better, I promise. Peregrine can scan your CAD calls for related incidents and can even comb through suspect history in your report rating system like RMS. It's able to match possible suspects based on the MO and the geographical locations. But wait, the rabbit hole goes deeper. If you've got a suspect name, Peregrine has the ability to analyze your stored body cam videos and search for that suspect's name and find videos of them to give you up to the most up-to-date context with that suspect. And what's great about that, as an investigator, you know your body cam has the ability to geolocate. So you can see the latest locations, specifically where your suspect was last seen. This is just the tip of the iceberg, and all I wanted to do with it is tease you guys enough just to seek out more information. So please reach out to me personally, DM me, or reach out to peregrine.io and just tell them that Eric Levine from Two Cops One Donut sent you. I don't endorse things I don't believe in, and I would stake my reputation on their product. Please check them out because I know it's going to change law enforcement. We were talking about the number of people you had in your pods, 1,400 you'd gotten back from Cancun, and
Mhm.
they had moved everybody out. And I think I was just about to add, or I was making the analogy that it's just like working kind of like the shithead beats. Nobody wants to work those except for the sick individuals like you and I who kind of feel, I always felt more comfortable there and had a better relationship. And when they would try to move me out of my beat, I was like, no, I want to stay here. Where you'd see the ones that were about that life, they would want to stay in those beats. But the ones that weren't were doing everything they could to escape that beat and get to what we would call the more laid back beats where they didn't have to take as many calls or do as much police work and keep as many relationships up. Um, I also find that some of the officers that have maybe some issues tend to want to stay in those beats as well, but the community doesn't want them there. Have you seen that?
I didn't work so, like, when I worked as a police officer, we were a lower middle class town,
Okay.
26 square miles, 130,000 residents, 350,000 people during the day, with commuter traffic and all that commerce going on. So, we didn't have, like, those areas. People knew who we were because 'cause we're still 200 guys and girls out there, probably, I think, 90 or 95 in patrol. We were still guys and girls out there, so people, like, it's still a small town feel, as weird as that sounds with that many people, but we didn't have areas, like, where we were, like, walking house to house and essentially, like, knowing the hood, because it really wasn't like that. It wasn't a place where it was everything. I mean, there was problematic areas, but not like the way that I think you're describing it.
Okay. Yeah. Where I'm at right now is well over a million population. So it's definitely got its four seasons of areas. It's crazy. You got real rich area to the poorest of poor, middle class, all that stuff. Country boys, vaquero, Mexican cowboys. It's crazy how diverse it is out here.
Did you grow up in Texas?
No, grew up in Flint, Michigan.
Ooh,
Yeah.
yeah, what made you move there? For the water? Flint's a fucking
I grew up in
shithole.
Flint, Michigan, sir.
Yeah,
That's why.
Flint's tough, dude.
No, joining the military kind of Flint's like the Matrix. You don't know you're in it when that's all you know until you get out. And then when I got out of Flint from the military, it kind of opened my eyes. I'm like, oh my God, like look at these cities that are out here. They're flourishing. They don't have condemned buildings everywhere. They don't have constant street problems with potholes and businesses that never make it more than a couple years at best. It was just, it was always on a downhill spiral from where I was at, and all the GM shops and GMC, Cadillac, all of them just closing down left and right. My whole life. That's all I knew was just closing up shop. So joining the military opened up my eyes and I was able to get out of the matrix, so to speak, and seeing the light. And when I went to Texas for boot and all of that, I was like, man, this state just has like everywhere you go, everybody was growing and you could kind of pick and choose what you wanted your area to be like. So, going to Houston, going to San Antonio, Austin, Dallas, Fort Worth, all these different areas is just it's a different flavor each place. And so I just really fell in love with it. The police get paid here. They did not get paid. I was a cop up in Saginaw, Michigan, making like 14 something an hour when I first got out of active duty. And I was like, that Walmart managers make this much out here. So switched it
If
up.
you think cops get paid in Texas, you gotta see what the contracts are settling for in New Jersey. You'll fucking fall off your chair.
Well, it just depends on what the cost of living's like. Like I bought my house in
No,
2012 for like 140 grand, 2,000 square
yeah,
feet.
what would you pay for it now? The 12 years ago, this makes no difference.
Right. Well, but I'm saying that's what drew me out here was the cost of living was
Okay,
so
yeah, yeah.
low. But now the same house is going to cost you about 350 to 400.
Yeah, so it's significantly changed. Yeah, cost of living in New Jersey is expensive in the sense that taxes are high. I
Mm.
feel like the cost of everything is similar across the board outside of your property taxes, and property itself is very expensive.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
everything else appears to be the same as it is in Texas or Alabama or Florida or whatever. So, yeah. But the contracts here, oh, they're settling now between like 160 and 190 for a patrolman
Damn.
base pay.
That's crazy. Crazy money. But, I hope it goes the distance out there. What we're getting paid out here. Like I'm happy with it. Would I like more? Sure, I'd always like more. But
Yeah, but you gotta understand something, like,
Mhm.
nobody who is a police officer and solely a police officer will ever be wealthy financially. It's impossible.
Oh, true. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like so, like, I don't care if you're the fucking well, he got a $200,000 retirement and he's making 312 as a director. Like, "Oh, okay. You're still not rich, just so
Y
we're clear. Like, you're okay." But,
Yeah.
like, I have friends that made $15,000,000 last month. I'm not even kidding you.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
and I'm making that up,
crazy.
right? Like, that's real shit. So when you talk about perspective, I'm not downplaying, but
Yeah.
just don't get into the idea that you're gonna make a lot of money as a cop. It's literally impossible.
Yeah. I guess it depends on what you look at as a lot of money. Yeah, 15,000,000. Yeah.
I'm not talking about, like, what your perspective is,
Yeah.
how comfortable you are. I'm not measuring happiness. I'm talking about dollars.
Yeah.
You will never be rich. I don't care who the fuck you work for being a cop. It's impossible.
True. Even when you're the top dog. Even when
It
you're the
don't
top
matter,
dog.
dude. I don't care
Yeah.
if you're making 400,000 a year as a cop. You're not rich. I'm sorry. You're
Yeah.
better than a lot of people, but you're not rich. Top
Yeah.
1% earners, I think it just came out, it's like 798 plus a year.
Wow. And, podcasting, it'll make you rich. Not
Depends
at
who
all.
you are in podcasting.
Yeah. If you're Joe Rogan, you make that money.
A lot of people make a lot of money in podcasting.
Yeah, but if you're Eric Levine, you're not making shit. So, okay. So I want to get into you being 19 years old and thinking you had any business working in a prison.
I didn't have any direction. I turned 20 in the academy, and all I knew is I wanted to be a cop, and I found out that you didn't need college, and you only had to be was 18 years old. Very, very hard state to become a cop in. So, when you took the civil service test, whatever came up, you were lucky enough to get and you took, and, like, even corrections had hundreds and hundreds of people lined up out the door to take the job. But they, talk about turnover. I mean, people leave corrections a lot, a
Yeah.
lot, a lot. It's a very, very difficult job. It is the worst job I ever had in my life, and I was good at it. It was the worst job for a guy like me. It did not fit me one bit whatsoever. And don't let people tell you, like, people always like, "Oh, I was thinking about starting in corrections." I'm like, "Don't. There's no reason to. You don't need to." "Oh, I heard it makes you a
Thank
better
you.
cop." And I'm like, "No, it doesn't."
Thank I was going to get to this point. I'm glad that you said it first. I get so sick of that. It'll make you a better cop. I'm like, why?
Mm.
Because you're always dealing with the most hardened criminals in the street? No, not at all.
Like, it doesn't hurt, right? But, like, the best cops I know were there wasn't this correlation to essentially, because they were corrections officer, they were great cops.
Yeah.
Cops are great cops. They just get made They're just a different breed of people. I would argue that they're probably 5% of the cops out there are great cops.
So when you were working in the correction system, what was the training like just to take your spot and be on your own?
There was no training.
There was no training?
Nope, you got a radio, set of keys, and we didn't have pepper spray, you had a pair of handcuffs, that was it.
Holy is it still the same way?
I have no idea, dude, but, like, there was like, I went to 3 academies, did you go 1 or 2 academies?
2. Actually 3 if you count the military's academy. So,
So you learned nothing there, and they taught you nothing there. So it was horrific. I think you got, like, they called it post exposure. I think you get 2 days to sit in with somebody, then you're on your own.
no shit.
And you nothing to learn in 2 days. You literally sit at a desk all day,
Yeah.
right? And, like, people come up, you're like, "No, no," right? Like, and then you're a good kid working with fucking horrible people in of
Yeah.
society. And nobody tells you, like, you good doesn't know bad, right? You think you're being nice as a human being, and you can't. You got almost that's almost like a place where you have to put a complete different personality on when you go in. Different it's 100% different than being a cop. There's no question about it. Very different job.
So how hard was it to separate the personality that you had to keep at work versus when you got home?
It was easy, dude.
Easy? Easy
Yeah,
switch
yeah,
for you?
easy. Yep, that's it. Just went in, had to be this other person. Even when I was a cop, I had to be a different person when I was a cop because I'll tell you a quick story. I went to a bar. I ended up working in the town that I grew up in, and so my friends were still very young, dude. I only got on the 3rd job by the time I was 24 at 5 years in almost. And so it was cool because I had to work in my town, which ended up later on I thought wasn't cool. I wish I would have never worked in the town I grew up in, to be quite honest with you. But it is what it was, and I was happy to be there. And it just got a little too personal because I knew a lot of people. I mean, I was at, the death of a girl that I knew very well. I was at my friend's brother's death. I did CPR on him. There's a lot of things that got very personal for me there. I locked people up at domestics, shoplifting people people that I knew were shoplifting, DWIs, rapes, like crazy people I knew. Anywho, what was the question?
Switching, being your personality, going back and
Yeah, so
forth.
I remember going to a barbecue at my friend's, now wife's her house in her backyard, and people knew me as, like, the fun dude, and, obviously I said I was class clown and all that shit. Lighthearted, never angry. And I came in the backyard and, like, I was like I came there to eat. You know how we go with the cops and food, right? So, like, I knew they were cooking burgers and hot dogs. I'm like, "Oh, I got free dinner. This is fucking fantastic."
Oh, yeah.
So I went to the backyard. I was having hamburgers and hot dogs, and somebody said to me, like, "Yo, you're, like, kinda weird right now. Like, why are you so, like, uptight?" And I'm like, "Bro, I'm working right now. Like, you guys get to hang out here and play fucking beer pong for the next 2 hours. I might be in a shootout in 10 seconds." So, I had to put that facade on. It wasn't like I was trying to pretend to be somebody who I wasn't. I just had to take it very seriously because it was that serious. We went from 0 to holy shit in fucking at the drop of a hat, you know? It just happens, and you gotta be on your fucking game.
Yeah, and where you were located, what were the surrounding? Because that's a pretty significant size population. Were you surrounded by big cities as well, or was it
Yeah, yeah, so
all
we're about 20 minutes south of Newark, which if you watch any show on how where people get killed and carjacked, it's Newark, New Jersey.
okay?
So 20 minutes isn't too far for Newark to come down and start. I mean, we dealt with a lot of people from Newark. So Newark, Elizabeth, Linden, New Jersey, Irvington. These are very, 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 very tough areas.
Okay. So I was gonna say, I said the spillage coming from the other cities, I bet was significant as well. So I'm
Significant.
trying to
They
give
murdered us. And
people
then on top of that, we were right across the outer bridge from Staten Island. And so New Yorkers preyed on us like Brooklyn, Staten Island. Oh my God, because we had so much commerce. We had so many big box stores and all that shit. We just got because all they had to do was do their thing, hit the fucking bridge, and they were gone. New York plates, the investigation almost ended if it wasn't anything serious, right? They're gone. They're in New York. It's a wrap. And so we dealt with a lot of New Yorkers preying on us as well. A lot of New York, and most of that was like credit card fraud, identity fraud, shoplifting. A lot of New Yorkers doing that.
now when you were in the jails and was it prison or jail?
It was a county jail.
County jail. Okay, so when you're in there and you're dealing with your regulars and stuff that frequent flyers or some that are going to be put away for a long time. You're 19, 20 years old. Um, how hard did they try to manipulate you, and did it ever work? Or
Oh yeah,
what was your
oh bro.
strategy to shut that down when you first started?
Honestly, what happened was they pushed me to my fucking limit because I was being taken advantage of so much in my first couple weeks that I literally screamed, like, I just, like, lost my fucking shit, and they all started listening. And then, you dial that in a little bit, like, nobody was there to help me. As a matter of fact, the guys that I worked with were kinda talking shit about me behind my back. Nobody was helping me.
Typical
And
cop,
like,
right?
"Oh, this guy said this about" it's crazy. I remember always think about this. This guy I went to the academy with, his uncle was a fucking CO, and, like, he was like a hallway dude, so he was well known, well respected. And this motherfucker who was a fucking basically kind of, special, he got sent down and he had a partner for his entire career. The 2 years that I was there, he was down in the fucking in the housing projects. They call them the projects there. He was down in the projects with a partner. So he was working with a 20-year veteran. Nobody ever talked shit to the veterans. So like he got a I remember him saying things like, "Oh, I heard you're soft. I heard you're soft as Charmin." I'm like, "This motherfucker
He
is
never got
down here with
tested.
I'm by my own in the Shark Tank." And I just had to figure it out. I think it took me about 3 weeks to figure it out. And once I figured it out, like you had to continue to figure it out, dude, and learn a lot about what the mentality was, how respect worked back and forth. Um and you develop relationships with people. There's nothing you can do. You're in a fucking box for 8 to 16 hours a day with the same 48 human beings, 5 days a week, sometimes 6 days a week. So you're there with them. You're creating relationships with them. There's mutual respect, and they expect you to like, dude, it was I just remember the worst thing was it was a beautiful day outside, and I remember driving to work. I had a Mustang GT convertible, but a box style, not the Fox body, the regular box one, like the Vanilla Ice one, right? I always wanted
Yeah.
that car, so I had it, and it was red with a black top, and I was like cruising down the turnpike going to work. It was beautiful, dude. It was like 81 degrees. I remember seeing like these three girls, and they just kept going towards the beach, and I was going to a jail,
Oh,
and yeah, it was. I remember just never forget like how miserable that was to go on like a perfect 81-degree weather day to have to go sit into a fucking cell, basically inside of a jail
yeah.
with almost no sunlight for the next 8 hours, 2 to
It
10, right?
stinks
Or 3
like
to 11.
nasty. A smell you can't describe to anybody
You
that's
took a
never.
beautiful day and you fucking made it horrible
Yeah.
immediately.
Yeah. Now that I've never worked in a civilian um, jail, prison, but I did in the military. I worked in corrections for about a year, and that was my mentality. Was like, I'm in jail too. I'm in jail too. Like I'm stuck with, we housed about 16 to 20. Wasn't anything major. But we're the only facility for the Upper West Coast at the time. I was stationed in Montana. So we got a lot of transfers and stuff. And surprisingly, there's a lot of people that commit crimes constantly in the military. That surprised me. I didn't know that. And working in the corrections, like counting and just it's the same fucking thing over and over and over. A lot different though in military jail. Like they have to be respectful. They can't curse. They got to walk on a line. I mean, it's like boot camp on steroids. It's really what it's like. So, much different mentality than civilian jails, where you guys had it even worse. Um, and then all I can think of is my police career, going to the jail, dropping off a bad guy, and even just walking up there, I'm like, "Ugh, I got to deal with the smell. It's going to reek when I get in there. I got to write my report, deal with the funk." And you was living in it like daily for hours, like shit. So, what advice do you give to anybody that is considering going into corrections?
You know, if that's what you wanna do, it's perfectly respectable. I have an ungodly amount of respect for the men and women that actually show up and do that job. If your end game is to become a police officer, you don't need to start in corrections. Just wait, be more patient, and go do police work, especially right now, it has never been easier in this country to be a cop than it has at this moment. I mean, literally, my friends who are chiefs are like, we have to, like, they come in negotiating on the things that they want. Like, it's not like we're like, they're interviewing us to see if we have the things that they're looking for. I'm like, times have changed, man. Like, it
Yeah.
just isn't what it once was.
Yeah. Who the fuck wants to be a cop now? You're talking about getting rid of qualified immunity. You're talking about defund the police in places, which I think most of those places have, backtracked on that whole
Reneged.
mentality. But you
Mhm.
got NYPD that they're talking that they've got rid of. I'm using air quotes for those that just listen to this, but got rid of qualified immunity. They can't. They think they can. They think they got more power than what they got on their city council.
Interestingly
But
enough, like, people don't realize that qualified immunity is almost a farce, and it's almost never used, so it actually has no impact. It's just a political fucking ruse. So
yeah,
you if you actually look at qualified immunity, it's only a few times in the history of this country that it's actually been applied.
yeah. I mean, and the argument that I try to make to people is like, it's not like it's just automatically given. You have to qualify for it. It's literally in the fucking name. Qualified immunity. You have to qualify for that immunity. If you did some sort of criminal act as an officer, and the judge is like, yeah, I think you did this shit on purpose. Like your qualified immunity is non-existent. It's gone. So
Correct.
what's the point of getting rid of it? Because they're like, well, if the cop did something
It's
shady,
a political
yeah,
media push to push an agenda.
yeah,
Police are used as pawns for politicians, and it's bullshit.
yep, agreed. So um, I plan to do a whole qualified immunity special. I've got this guy that wants to come on and explain why it should be gone, and I think I have got Von Kleem. You know Von Kleem from Force Science.
Mhm.
He's the big spokesman for Force Science, but he's going to be my qualified immunity expert. So I'm not an
It's
expert,
funny, I
but
think when people hear me say that I don't know who these people are, they think that I'm lying. I literally have almost no clue who anybody is in this game of police training because I
yeah,
never look. I don't give a fuck what other people are doing.
I'm the same way. That's why when we finally get into the street cop section of this, I can't wait to hear all the explanation because I don't know much about it other than that you guys went around training people. But that's for later in the show. I want to
How
get
much later in the show are we going? Like, how long
oh,
do these shows go?
usually 2 hours.
Holy shit. All right, let's do, how about can can we 2 hours is, oof. How about
you
can we do 30
literally
more minutes? Is that cool?
you literally blocked off on the calendar that you agreed to when you read it. If you would have read it,
I didn't
that
fucking
you
read it, dude. 2
blocked
hours
off
for a show?
3 hours, sir. That's the
Dude,
block off, and we usually go hour and a half, 2 hours.
let's do
But
an hour and a half.
sometimes you get chatty Cathy's, and we go all 3 hours. So, um, but okay, that's fine. We will go to. I want to switch gears with you transitioning from the jails to street cop life. So, how did that go? Is that something you had to apply for, or is that something they were like, all right, we think you're ready?
Who's they?
Your department, like, okay, maybe they're separate.
They
Was
are.
your Okay? So your corrections department was separate from your police department. It
Yeah,
wasn't like sheriffs or
completely different entities. They don't even know each
okay.
other.
Okay, because for those listening, you're not quite sure what we're referring to. Like sheriff's departments, they usually cover their own jails and stuff like that. But then you get corrections facilities; they work their jails, and then you have municipalities, things of that nature, where they hire out either the sheriff's department or some other places to do their jail for them. It's crazy everywhere. It's just different. So
Yeah,
go
there's
ahead.
no consistency anywhere. Everything's completely different. You're absolutely correct. Dude, I was taking every test I could possibly take to get out of that place. I mean, I was doing everything I possibly could nonstop, and I took a application for actually at the same time I was going through the process for CBP, which is the guys who stamp the passports at the airport, which I was elated to do. That I would see human beings that actually are like civilians who like follow the law and shit. I didn't care where I was going. I just need to get the fuck out of this jail. And, then I also took a job with US Park Police. I'd never been to Washington, DC in my life. I didn't give a shit. All I knew that's even if it was just a stepping stone, it was still better than being in a jail. And they started like 46,000 a year, and that's about what I was making by the time I rolled around into year 2. I think I started the jail at like 27.5 or some shit, like 23.5 was my first starting pay. My paychecks were like $630 every 2 weeks. It was fantastic. Yeah, it's crazy.
You're just making it rain.
Oh, it's nuts, dude. I actually took a pay cut from being a pizza delivery driver. I was making like a G bar a week cash as a fucking pizza delivery driver, and I went to like making almost nothing as a fucking corrections officer. Like
Paying
literally,
taxes.
oh, it was terrible, dude. It was a terrible. That's why I say like don't take those. That's not a smart move to go do that if your ultimate goal is become a cop. But honestly, I'm glad that I did. I don't have any qualms with the past because I learned the most about myself in my first police academy, and that was worth its weight in gold. But yeah, man. So I took this test and like got the call. Couldn't believe it. Literally walked down. I remember working the housing unit I was in. I walked down to the shift commander's office and I was like, "Hey, how much time do I have on the books?" He's like, "You have 2 weeks." And I said, "Oh, cool. Here's my 2 weeks notice." I reached out. I said, "Mike, it was great working with you. This will be my last shift."
Hell yeah.
And that was it. And he's like, "Oh, really?" I'm like, "Yeah, I got hired, so I'm out of here." And so I shook his hand and kind of passed the word around. I had like 3 hours left in my shift, and dude, I just like walked out. It was almost surreal to me. And obviously went out and drinking and celebrated because that's what you're supposed to do.
Probably
But at
like
like
gaining your
17.
freedom like a prisoner.
Yeah, yeah. I just and did like I. It was the first time that I started seeing that my coworkers were um not super thrilled. In the sense
They
that,
weren't
like, I
happy
love
for you?
them, they were my friends. Yeah, they don't no, they were happy, but, like, there's some sadness that they're still there?
Ah, okay. A little resentment.
I don't think they resented me, I think they resented themselves and their
Okay.
situation.
Fair. I it's it's almost kinda like the maybe stigma that I have projected of people from that area, New Jersey and all that stuff. It just seems like they're not happy for anybody, or they're not happy about
It's so funny, dude, the New Jersey stigma couldn't be further from the truth. People, when they come to New Jersey or visit New Jersey, are pleasantly surprised to find out that people here are just more brash and honest than they are full of shit and talk shit behind your back. Not saying it doesn't happen, but I think that they're just more of an open group of people where they'll tell you how they feel to your face and not pretend behind your back, where I think there's a lot more sneakiness in other sides parts of the country.
yeah.
Like there's no place that the brotherhood of law enforcement is stronger. And I mean that in the sense of like overall. I'm not saying there's not pieces of shit in agencies, snakes, scumbags, dirtballs. I'm saying, and I mean that in the sense of like how they behave towards one another. I'm just saying overall, a lot of good guys and girls wearing a fucking uniform over here. Like a lot, like big brotherhood, taking care of each other. There's no fucking beef between the troopers and the patrol and the municipal guys.
Yeah.
Everybody's on the same page. We're all fucking friends. And
Yeah.
that's pretty much the whole Northeast, dude. Nobody thinks they're hot shit compared to other people. They just don't. They might sit maybe the old troopers like 20, 30 years ago thought those guys were hot shit, but nobody does anymore now. It's just a whole different ball game.
Yeah, where we're at here in Texas with troopers, firefighters, all of us, I haven't seen any like legitimate beef or anything like that. Like, but up north in Michigan and stuff, like there's a little tension between certain agencies and certain fire departments and police and stuff like that. So, but I
I'll
wasn't
never
there.
understand that.
I
I
I
just
don't
don't get it.
I don't get it either, and I I think a lot of it's jealousy from cops because FD gets to hang out and basically be a fraternity all all day long.
You
And
think cops are jealous of firemen? I don't
oh yeah,
think so.
oh yeah,
Uh, I
absolutely.
I mean, not here, that's for sure. There's no fucking way on earth. You get the guys who wanted to be firemen and took the cop job instead of the fireman job because the fireman job is harder. It's definitely harder to become a fireman in New Jersey than it is a cop, no question about it, now more than ever. But typically, it's oddly enough, those guys who become firemen I'm sorry, those guys who wanted to be firemen became cops end up being pretty good cops and don't wanna leave the police service to go to the fire department.
Yeah.
I've actually seen guys leave the fire department, which is a very hard job to get to come to the police side of things, which I was shocked at, but there's no jealousy here because you gotta remember this too, like, most of the fire departments in New Jersey are volunteer, so most of them are not paid.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and it's I think one of the things that, and I'm speculating here, but I think one of the things most firefighters really come to grips with, especially in big cities like where I'm at, is like, this population of 1 million plus, but you're not fighting fires every day. What are you doing? You're handling medical calls with homeless people. Like that is the majority of your shift. And I think that's kind of a letdown. Like you wanted to go out there and rescue people and save them, and you're kind of just pandering to people abusing the system at times, and that can be defeating. Where the cops were, this is just my impression, doesn't mean I'm right, but us as police, I think we get more opportunity to help people, at least initially. So maybe that's what it is. And I think you're right though. I think most people tend to push towards the police side than the fire side for sure. I just
I
think
think
that
it's one or the other. I think one you wanna do one or I never met somebody or let me say this, I've met very few people who were indecisive of which uniform they wanted to wear.
okay,
Seems like there's
fair.
a certain my, I always thought, like, the guys at the FDNY were, like, comparatively speaking to some of the volunteers we have out here, I always thought they were gonna be, like, these, like, real, like, different types of dudes. Then my cousin married an FDNY guy, and, like, I went to the first, like, I don't know, party they had with his friends there. Great guy, but they're friggin' dorks, like, compared to cops. Like, they're just dorks. Like, they all of them,
Really?
like, oh my god, they're such dorks. This
I
is a
don't know.
different breed.
I don't know
I'm not
any
saying there aren't some cool
FDNY guys.
firemen out there, but, like, overall firemen that and I think that's who's attracted to fire side is a bunch of dorks. Like,
And
I love you guys, like, you're my brothers, I will always be there for all the firemen, but, like, there's a lot of dorks and strange people on that side.
yeah, I've not met any FDNY guys. Met some NYPD dudes. All very cool. I feel like they've got it rough right now. I feel like the morale's really low. Um,
I mean, think about this, NYPD is down, and I don't you can't quote me on this, 10 to 20%. So you're talking about being down 3 to 6,000 police officers,
yeah.
right? And then you got the people don't talk about this either, but I'm told recently, and I don't know if this is a fact or not, that Chicago's police department is down down 1/3. So they're short like 10 or 10,000 cops. When you talk about 10,000
Mhm.
cops, that's a lot of people. So they're short 10,000 cops. And unfortunately, as of today, as we're recording this, yesterday or last night, or actually early this morning,
They
a
lost
Chicago
them.
police officer was killed in the line of duty. And it's
Yep.
fucking terrible.
Yeah. I caught a cell phone video that somebody had recorded it, and you can hear him saying, "Don't reach, don't reach, don't reach," and then you hear like it's an automatic Glock or something of that effect. But it was an auto weapon for sure.
Yeah, dude,
Uh,
I actually won't share it. There's certain things that I'm comfortable sharing on our platform. Um, if I do share somebody's serious incident or demise, it has to be for me, at least with the intention to learn.
yeah,
I really try not to make these poor souls martyrs to push and I get it, like, there's a fine line between being a martyr and, like, reminding people of what's like so I just don't go there. I just don't.
I
I
got you.
try a heartfelt message out because I can't change that, and I don't think people deserve to be fucking made martyrs as well.
Yeah, I get that. I'm like you. Like if there's a point to learn from, so we can avoid something or whatever. I think as long as you stay on that point, and I'm not putting out any officers' names or doing anything like that. That I like to do it that way. That way, citizens can see that cops will hold cops accountable for dumb shit that we do because we all do dumb shit, and then also that we can learn from it and move on. It doesn't. What drives me nuts in today's society is they want to fire cops for everything they do wrong. You're never gonna get a perfect cop, and we
Well,
screw
that's
up
because you
constantly.
don't have that's because a majority of people are not leaders. They
Yeah,
are managers and maybe
yeah.
at best, if they're even able to be managers as well, because leaders have courage. Now, I've met a lot of leaders. I can tell you some leaders like Sheriff Mark Lamb
Oh,
or
yeah.
Sheriff Wayne Ivey, or
Yeah,
I'm telling you, these people are leaders and they're not afraid. So
yep,
when you're afraid, you will appease the crazed mobs.
yep,
And there there are more of these people worried about themselves, shook and afraid than you could even begin to encompass. They're shook. They don't know what to
yeah,
do with a situation. You wanna be the boss? Great. That means you gotta stand up for your guys and girls and have their back, and when it really hits hard, stand firm on your ground. They're terrified of this.
yeah,
They can't handle the pressure of the and dude, it sucks. Like, I've been the subject of media fucking scrutiny. It's very hard to go through. And we even had instructors that punched out, couldn't handle the pressure. They fucking buckled in a couple weeks after they swore up and down they wouldn't leave and didn't have to leave, but they just couldn't handle the pressure of it.
damn. Now, switch gears a little bit. When you got into patrol, you got into your agency. I wanna get through this part. What did you specialize in? Like, you did 14 years as, just police officer? You didn't rank up, anything like that?
I was on a list when I left. I was gonna be promoted to a sergeant.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah, yeah. I just yeah, man, I loved patrol. There's a few interventions in my life. I put in for the detective bureau at a very young age, and I'm glad I didn't get it at that time. They weren't going to pick me. They had you had these guys who came on in their, like, early 30s, mid-30s, who were just way more mature and had a lot more wisdom, even though I was probably possessed 10 times the amount of tenacity that they had. For that kind of position, they were just more mature at that time. I don't know if they were better than I was, just more mature. And I never forget a guy coming up to me and saying, you know, "The rumor is that you put him you tried out for the detective bureau." This guy's been in patrol for a long time, and I said, "Yeah," and he said, "You know, that's the problem with this place. They take, uh, they take all the good guys and girls right out of patrol and put them in specialized unit." He goes, "You know, I gotta tell you," he goes, "these guys might not say it to your face, but they like that you're around. They like that you're in patrol. And so everybody knocks this shit, but like, dude, people are like talking that you might leave patrol and they're not happy about it. All your coworkers here, they like that you're here. They might not tell you, but they like we need good guys like you. And they really appreciate you having you around." My friend Brian said to me a long time ago when I switched sides, I said, "I'm going to the other side of the week." And he actually got like a little emotional with me. We had a lot of history together. And he said, "Yeah, dude, I'm not trying to blow your head up or anything like that." He's like, "But you know, I got kids, and when I come here, I like when you're here. Like I like when like even when you're on vacation, you're not here. I don't like when you're not on the road with me." He's like, "'Cause you give me a comfort factor of I know at least one of these guys here, you of all people I know is coming if I need you." He's like, "And you just he's like, "And I'm losing that now. I fucking hate." He's like, "I hate it, to be honest with you. I hate that I'm not gonna have you anymore." And those 2 things meant more to me than any kind of fucking award I've ever received.
Yeah, absolutely. I one of the best. So when I first started this podcast idea, and I'm a nerd, this was I kind of stemmed it off of my
You're a
master.
nerd. I can't tell with your fucking Star Wars shit in the background, you fucking dork.
But you got the reference, so you're a nerd too.
I get the what? Wait, I get what do I do? I get the what?
You got the reference. You understood. It's
I
Star
mean,
Wars,
everybody knows
so
Star Wars is
you
my
know enough. Those aren't like main people. So,
You
uh,
have been dating the same girl since you're, like, 12, right? And,
yeah,
like yeah, you're this you're pretty dorky, dude. You know
I
what I mean?
am.
Like,
I am.
alright.
Fair enough. Anyway, the point I was getting to, before I was so New Jerseyly interrupted, um, the uh, the compliment that I got when I started this podcast, I thought, you know how cops are. We like to shit on everything, whether we're joking around or whatever it is. We like to shit on each other, for funsies. And I expected to get a lot of, I didn't know. I didn't know what I was going to get. I thought maybe nobody would say anything. I didn't go around advertising, "Hey, I got a podcast. Hey, I got a podcast." I just kept it to myself. And I ended up getting, probably within a few weeks. I was trying to put out an episode a week. I say within a few weeks, maybe a month or two. I got somebody reached out and was like, "Man, I'm so glad you did that episode about SWAT. I was considering going to SWAT, but your episode talked me out of it. Some things were revealed in the episode that I had never considered." And I was like, "Okay, cool, man. I appreciate it." And then he's like, "And it made me check out some of your other stuff." He's like, "I think you should keep doing what you're doing." He's like, "This is pretty cool. It's a pretty cool idea." And so it wasn't like an officer that I work around a lot or have to see every day. So he wasn't just blowing smoke up. And just like you were saying, wasn't blowing smoke up my ass, trying to make my head inflate. He gave me a genuine compliment. And just like you said, that was probably one of the more meaningful things that's ever happened to me in law enforcement than any award I've ever gotten. Um, and so I get where you're coming from on that. And that does mean it means so much more as a street level cop to hear from your peers, your direct peers, to have them try to stop you, not because they just want another body out in the street with them, because they genuinely feel safer, even if they didn't use those words. Like he said, he's got kids and he wanted you out there with him. Like, dude, that tells me, assuming your story's true, that tells me that you were the real deal, because officers don't. That's part of the culture of policing. We don't come out and say that shit to our boys. Like, "All right, bitch, see you when I see you, have fun not doing police work anymore." That's the type of stuff we say to each other. But him coming up telling you that it actually upset him, that speaks volumes, man. You were out there killing it. So,
A friend of mine, one more thing that I can remember, and I'm not trying to make myself I'm not just sitting here trying to peacock. Just a few meaningful conversations, but another one, this guy Glenn that I liked a lot, and he knows exactly who he is if he hears this. They the administration out of nowhere went from, "We want guys to be proactive, we're gonna start rewarding everybody, da, da, da," to anybody who's proactive, we're shutting your ass down. So, of course, I got brought up and they it was the fucking games of like, we're gonna start fucking with you if you don't stop in cars and that, like the whole bullshit, right? And so I came down and he's like, "What happened up there?" And I'm like, "I'm fucking done." I'm like, "That's it. I'm writing a fucking parking ticket a day. I don't trust these fucking people. I'm done." And he goes, "That means everybody's done." And I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Dude, you're the only guy that I've ever seen here who fucking no matter what went on, you still came in here with the same amount of enthusiasm, went out, did your job, you did a hell of a job." He goes, "And now that you, of all people," he's like, "you're the nail in the coffin, brother." He's like, "When you're gonna this is gonna send the signal to everybody that it's over
Yeah.
here." He's like, "It's you. It's not anybody else that could that could do this. It's you." And I think about that one a lot. Another one I thought of one they needed people to go into a parade and the administration for the first time wanted cops marching in our St. Patty's Day parade, and they couldn't get anybody to participate, and they weren't gonna pay overtime. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
somebody who was in charge of it,
I would have done that. That sounds fun. We don't have that here.
well, people were pretty fucking angry at the time, so it wasn't like they weren't doing anything for us, so we weren't doing anything for them, you know?
Uh,
And so somebody came to me and asked me for a personal favor, and I said, "Why'd you come to me?" Like, I'm the godfather, right? They're like, "Why'd you come to me to ask me to get guys to go into the parade?" And that person said, "Because they'll listen to you. I know that if you tell 25, 30 guys to go to the parade, they're gonna go." And it's not because I was like some fucking maniac. I was a good dude. I really loved the job. It made it a lot of fun. We had a lot of good times. Genuinely loved the people I worked with. I really did. I had a lot of fantastic memories with some of the best human beings, most fun guys and girls I ever met in my life. I mean, out of 200 men and women, there's probably 3 people that I fucking couldn't stand. Right? We all got them, right? So like,
oh,
there's
for
3 people
sure.
I couldn't fucking stand to even look at. But outside of that, I really was fond of everybody I worked with. I really was. I thought they were just wonderful, wonderful people. So, and they knew that I was the same way. I had their back, regardless of what's said now and anything that's convoluted late, 10 years later. I really felt that way about them. I really cared about those guys and girls a lot.
It sounds like you didn't let the cynicism that is deep in the culture of policing get to you.
You can't let life get to you, dude.
Yeah.
Right? Ignore the noise, focus on the work. This is the big logo of or the saying of mantra of street cop training. It's one of a handful of them, but we have an ignore the noise shirt, right? You gotta
Yeah.
be enthusiastic to come out and do this job safely. Enthusiasm is the key to safe police work because if you're unenthusiastic, you're gonna get yourself killed or somebody else killed. You gotta have that
Absolutely.
enthusiasm. You gotta have that excitement. And there's nothing more disappointing or disheartening when they take a guy, a girl who has all the fire in the world to go out and be a great cop and they just fucking damper that flame. They just put it right out, and they just took a potential great cop for 25 years and made them a miserable, salty fuck. And it's heartbreaking because it can be easily done. Or the other guys at the agency, the bums, they see this orphan and take him in and create another bum. And I hated seeing that. I hate to see guys go to field training with me. Yeah, I wouldn't say field training, but like maybe go through not my field training program, but like go through some field training, be into it, and then I see they start gravitating towards the bums, and now they're a bum too, and it's like, the guy
Yeah,
had some
yeah.
potential
It
there, but
and that influence is way stronger than people think, and every cop in the world thinks that they are not manipulated, in the least, and they're their own person, and they're the alpha and all this shit, and I'm like, "You became a salty fuck within 6 months of being on this team because your FTO, was voluntold to take you, wasn't wanting to take anybody else, and he let you know how shitty the department is, and now that's your outlook on your next 30-year career because of this one dude." And I'm
I
like,
mean,
and
you
you
had
wouldn't.
rookie cops, right? Like, you had rookie cops who wouldn't even get in pursuits, right? And, like, if they heard a pursuit, they're like, "Well, we weren't called to it, so we're not going." And I would be, like, shoving my mother off a bridge
I know.
and kicking a baby out of the way of my car to get in a fucking I mean, they used to call me off lunch when they thought a pursuit was gonna happen, or I get calls on my cell phone from my friends who work dispatch, like, "Yo, you can't say nothing, but, like, end up like, state police is coming up the parkway
Keep your
with
mouth
a
shut.
stolen car or in a pursuit, like, just go out there and pretend like you see them and you're joining it." These are
Yeah.
other cops calling me because they were monitoring the radio inside, or, like, I'd have sergeants call me like, "Yo, there's a fucking pursuit coming up. Why don't you go out there?" Like, or like, "Hey," like, I was always car 5, like, "Car 5, good. You still eating lunch?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't know. What do you got?" They're like, "Yeah, we're gonna have a pursuit soon." right? Or somebody's calling out a car that they were behind, it was stolen. They're like, "Yo, car 5,
Yeah.
you available?"
I need more people around, yeah, before I light them
It was
up.
just like, dude, they knew.
Yeah.
Like, so if you look into me, you'll see that I had the most use of force reports in, like, in the department for, like, 5 years or some shit. And so people are like, "Oh, you must have beaten ass." No, no, guys, let me just tell you something. 1, I didn't not do use of force reports when I had to do use of force reports, number 1. Number 2, who do you think they sent to fucking heavy duty, seriously physical fucking incidents? You think they sent dainty little 103-pound, Susan? No. They fucking called the big boys, me and the 2 other dudes on the fucking squad,
Yeah.
maybe the other 3 or 4 other guys, whoever it may be. Who do you think got sent to these? The guys that these people knew could handle the situation safely. So, yeah, we went to a lot more use of force calls because we were the fucking guys they called to if you had 20 guys in a road, I'm telling you, the same fucking 5 dudes, when shit really hit the fan, were sent to those calls. Other people came, but, like,
Yeah.
we were cleared off everything. Hey, clear that car crash. Everybody's off the road, right? Yeah, we got 25 people fighting at this place, right? We need you to go right now. Hey, can you wrap that up? You got enough of your report? Hey, you got this, you got that. Like,
Yep.
that's why I had the use of force reports. And plus also I was like eager to go somewhere and help people. Plus we didn't take shit in the sense of like, if I thought that this was going south and there was no saving it by calming people down, we intervened. We didn't beat people to death. We just intervened and got them in cuffs.
Yeah.
You know,
You
you
don't
knew when you could at least talk to somebody or there was no talking,
Yeah.
right? You got somebody who's drunk off their ass. There's no fucking making sense to a drunk off their ass violent dude. He's got to get put in fucking handcuffs. You might as well take the upper hand and try to steal it from him.
Yep. And there's 2 points I want to make. One about what you just said. I'll say that afterward. Just remind me of the stadium thing that just happened. But what you said without saying it, you had the most use of force reports. You were the guy. You were the go-to dude. The
Can I just say
slugs.
something? Let me just say this real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was not the toughest guy at my agency. I am not the toughest guy in the world. I am not. There are plenty
Yeah.
of people who can beat the piss out of me, right? There just is. I'm not him. I'm not trying to proclaim that I'm some tough dude who's walking around. I'm saying that me and probably 25, 30 guys at the agency were looked upon as people that the administration and coworkers knew could handle shit when it hit the fan, collectively, all together.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, there are guys that I worked with that are tougher than I am. I fucking promise you. So don't misinterpret what I'm saying here.
But I'm going to compliment what you just said, because I think what you were alluding to without even saying it or meaning to is when we were talking about the slugs, the ones that don't work, they're not going to those calls anyway. They're going to avoid calls the best they can. They're going to conveniently, copy traffic en route. They're those guys. And what I mean by that is when you have a person that's not affected by the cynicism, is enthusiastic about going and taking calls and helping people, they take more calls. Your volume of call taking versus a slug or a cynic or a person that just doesn't want to get in trouble, you're going to take a volume of calls that is absurdly higher than those people. So of course you're going to lead the way in uses of force. You're taking more calls and you're taking more chances. You're taking more risk. Now the risk, I think, back then wasn't nearly as high as it is today, because it seems like everybody's afraid to do police work, especially if they don't have an administration that's going to back them up for doing police
Well,
work.
so you have two very valid points here, but there you didn't say the second one. You said the first one. The first one is people are afraid to do police work when they don't have an administration to back them up. That's one valid point. But on the other side of it, there are many police officers and many agencies in this country doing really good, great work still to this day because their administration supports them. So it's amazing what an supportive administration will enable cops to be able to do in the field. So one is one thought, one's another. You
Yeah.
cannot do police work when you're working for people you cannot trust. It is inherently impossible. And I don't know how on God's green earth any of you go to work at any point of the day and do work for people who you cannot trust. I would never fucking work for somebody ever again in my life that I could not trust in a million years.
Yeah.
I would go be a fucking door-to-door shoe salesman before I fucking did that.
Yep. When I became a supervisor, I was requested in a certain area, and they said, "We're looking for old school zero tolerance style for this area." And I said, okay, who's my chain of command? Like that was the first question. Who's my chain of command? Oh shit. Okay, cool. I got 2 old school people on above me. So I'm like, awesome. That's my backing. I trust those people implicitly. Is this what, the chief wants? And they're like, yep. I'm like, all right, cool. Let's go. So I was very inspired and I try to have these conversations with people. And it's exactly to your point. Like the reason I can still go out and do what I do in proactive policing in today's time is because I have a chain of command that I trust and so far has basically given me the direction and I've just gone wild with it. But the other point that I wanted to make that you were talking about is fighting or having to go hands on when the talking's done. It's a hard thing to explain to people. Everybody wants to use the hot term de-escalation, whatever. There is a point when the talking is over with. And one of those I just did a reaction video to this incident in the Georgia Florida game. They had a dude sitting in the stands. Officers come up trying to make contact with him. They tase him a couple times. It didn't work. And then you just see this officer come up and just start throwing some haymakers, like just bam, 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 bam. And it's this big drawn out thing. And they end up getting him into custody. And I came out and I defended this officer. I was like, here's what I see. And I broke it all down. I see this, I see that. And then their big hang up one was that this guy was punching with handcuffs in his hand. Okay, fair. But like I was saying in the video, it was like shit happens in a fight. He was moving into cuff. And then all of a sudden had to in the point that you were making about when the point hits that the talking is over, that is one of the best examples of the talking is over. Like this guy's already threatened to fucking kill cops and these weren't facts known at the time, but I'm watching the video and through my experience, I'm like, all right, something happened right here that he decided he's got to start wailing on this dude to affect the arrest. And it's up in the stadium seating. You know how fucking awkward that was going to be in itself. So I put out this reaction video, righteous arrest. But anybody that listens to this, I want you to remember this point that me and Dennis are talking about. That there becomes a point where the talking is over. And that is a perfect example in a video of where the talking is over. And that is what that officer hit. And that's when he decided to start using force. And it is so hard to explain to anybody that doesn't do this job and hasn't been in those positions that you just know. It's hard to explain. There's no real articulation where like I knew it was over. Like people will always say, well, you could have tried this, you could have tried that. Not in these situations. And ultimately, when you pull the trigger, no pun intended, to use force, you end up not using as much force as you would have if you hesitated and allowed it to escalate bigger. Does that make sense? Does that resonate?
Yeah, I'm also gonna jump in here and say this, like, I just find it comical that it's always the fault of the cop. There's no responsibility given to this fucking jerk off,
Oh, for sure.
right? And
There's
so
a
I
New
remember
Jersey I
watching a
like.
press
Jerk
conference, which I
off.
was very impressed. It was, again, another Florida sheriff where apparently those sheriffs down there, are taught how to grow balls,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
everybody else around the
Like
country should
Grady
pay
Judd.
attention to how those guys behave. And so this reporter asked this sheriff, she's like, he or she, I forgot what it was, is basically like, "Oh, like, why did the police officer have the car running but wasn't there?" And the sheriff said, "Why are you taking away from the fact that some piece of shit stole the fucking police car? Don't worry about why the cop had the car running. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter because this guy made a decision to steal a fucking police car. Can we focus on that?" And I was like, "Damn, there you go."
Yeah.
Right?
And that's the deflection strategy that the media uses to make a headline or a title.
Fuck the media, dude. Like, they are the biggest honestly, I would confirm to say the biggest demise of this country is the fucking mainstream media.
Yeah.
They are soulless devils.
Yep.
They are literally sent here by Satan, and I have to think in my head, how do you live with yourself as a fucking quote unquote journalist? You're all so full of shit. It's absurd. You're so full of shit. It's
Yep.
crazy to me what they get away with, and how some people believe them.
Yeah.
It's fucking nuts.
I
They're
think
fucking
I
scumbags.
think that you want to talk about getting rid of qualified immunity so you can sue a cop and take his pension away. How about you hold the media accountable for the falsehoods that they put out and the
Oh,
damage
no,
that
no,
they
no.
cause?
You won't because that's who controls the media is the big boys.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm
Guys, I
probably
mean,
gonna
it's
get
easy to see how things are run. You know
I'm
what I mean?
probably gonna
Like,
get Hillaried after this. So
yeah, how about that when Tony, what's his name? The guy from the Kill Tony thing. He's like, "And a few weeks from now, I didn't kill myself."
yeah, it's sad
So
he has to
funny.
say that too, but I'm I don't blame him. I
I thought
don't
they would've
blame
got
him.
the Didster already, to be honest with you.
What's that?
I thought they would've got the Didster, but I guess they didn't get to him.
Oh, well, I don't know.
Well,
He's
I don't know if he has enough important people in his repertoire of like, it wasn't the island where all the fucking big people were going to. I think
right.
this was just like I told somebody yesterday because we were making jokes because, like, my cousin was breaking my chops, and she said, "I'm just waiting for you to come out of the closet. I've been waiting for a long time." Like, "Listen, let's talk about the reality here." And by the way, I have more gay friends than anybody listening to this
If
fucking
you
thing.
gotta
I
qualify
posted up
it, you shouldn't say it.
yeah, no, no, like, my point is like, but
I
like,
got
this
you.
is not what the conversation is. No, no, it's no.
I'm with it. I'm
So
with it.
I said, "When this thing came out and this video of, like, Meek Mill and the moaning and the pounding, like, that P. Diddy did not come out and say that wasn't me, right? If that happened, you said, "I got a video of you and another dude," I'd say, "Bring it. Let's see. I'll wait right here. Go get it. Go find it."
Right.
Right?
That would be a good reaction.
So, like, you know,
Yeah.
is there truth to that? There's gotta be, because you couldn't accuse me of something like that, knowing I didn't do something like that, and I would react. I would literally be, like, holding press conferences in the fucking middle of everywhere I went. I did not do that to that fella.
Yeah.
Like, I show me the video.
Right. Yeah. I'll watch it with you. We'll do it on a live event.
I knew you would
'Cause
watch it with me, yeah.
yeah, because it ain't me. But, okay, so when you got into patrol and then you did your time, there's had to be some revelation about your current business. So I want to know what that revelation was where you were like, we're not doing enough. We need to do more. There's something, there's this, there's that. Like, how did you transition into that for Street Cop?
I took my first promotional testing course, and in the state of New Jersey, it's based on case law. Well, I didn't know what case law was. 2008, I'm taking this first exam. And, by the way, I also had a shore house at the time, which studying for a sergeant's exam and having a shore house at the Jersey Shore, they did not go well together, just so we're clear,
I
especially when
bet.
I was a young, strapping young lad and a cop and a wild dude with a mohawk. I have a lot of good stories, but what's one story I don't have is that I scored really well in the sergeant's exam the first
Did
time
you
around
meet
I took
any
it.
of the Jersey Shore cast members?
Dude, I'm so Jersey, I've been on the show.
No, you have.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday when I am in New Jersey, my children go to a jujitsu gym, and I sit next to JWoww because her kids go to jujitsu with my kids.
No shit. Who's the instructor? I'm just curious what school it is.
Yeah, I'll tell you off air.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I didn't even
'Cause I
think
don't
about
want
that.
it's not about me, I don't wanna blow her spot up, dude.
Yeah,
Um,
I was
and,
more
like
trying to. I've been doing jujitsu since '06. I'm a big fan. So
yeah,
I
so, like, she's like, you know, there's only, like, 10 or 12 parents in the place when we're all there together, and, yeah, like, nobody ever makes a big deal that she's there because we're all from here, we all know these guys and girls, like, dude, there's more connections. I mean, I was at Angelina's wedding, like, I know all these people, right?
no
I'm
shit.
familiar with them. I know a lot of people, because I'm from Jersey, dude.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Anyway, but yeah, that's how Jersey I am. What were we talking about right
You
before that?
how you the epiphany for Street Cop.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So anyway, I remember reading case law, being told this case law, and I'm like, "Okay, I get it. You need to know this stuff to get chevrons, but, like, don't we just need to know this stuff?"
Yeah,
Like,
why
I
the
couldn't
fuck don't we
fucking
know this
believe what
on
I
the
was
street?
hearing. Like, dude, I couldn't believe it, and I actually have my notes, I think I still have them saved from that class when I was writing in my books, like, good for a class, because my wheels started turning, I'm like, "Everybody needs to know this, like, how do we not know this stuff?" And I'm, like, asking the guy who wrote the class, and I'm like, "You're telling me we can arrest somebody for that?" And he's like, "Yeah." Or I'd say, like, "You're telling me we can't just pat frisk everybody we meet?" He's like, "No." And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "You never at Terry v. Ohio?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "How long you on the job?" I'm like, "I don't know, like 7 years." And I'm like, "What's Terry v. Ohio?" 3
Oh,
academies, what's Terry v. Ohio, right? How
yeah.
about, like so, like, dude, I became oh my god, just I fell in love with the answers and, like, it just dismantled all the bullshit. But, when you show up and you're the guy telling the fucking truth and, you're literally dismantling what everybody believes to be true, that it's not, and there's other things like, you create
Yeah.
a lot of waves. People were not happy that I was showing up and changing things. Ooh, boy, oh boy.
Oh, cops hate fucking change, especially if it ain't
Human
their idea up
beings
top.
hate change, dude. Like, we get caught in our own world of, like, our
Yeah.
ecosphere of cops this, cops that. Cops cheat, people don't like change. There's bums at Jersey Mike's right now. There's 2 fucking employees out of the 5 that everybody hates. Like, there's a boss. It's just that we're in police world and we correlate everything to police world. It's the world, dude,
Yeah.
right? There were lazy fucks 24 years ago when I got on the job 23 years ago. There are lazy fucks now. Like, it just people didn't like the cops then. They don't like the cops now. You just didn't see it on video. We got shot and killed just as much. And I hate to fucking I'm not downplaying that, but like that happened then, it's happening now. It's not like, "Oh, times now." No, dude, no. Some guy wrote in my group the other day, he's like, "What was police like before cameras?" I'm like, "Oh, before you had to actually know the Constitution? What was police work like?" Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly what it was. So when you have to show up and say like, "You guys realize we're on body cam now, right? And you gotta know the Constitution?" Right? You guys realize that. Like, now you actually have to know what the fuck you're talking about? That's the
Yeah.
problem. Police work's bad. Oh, with these cameras and shit. No, no, it held you accountable. Right? "Oh, that Benigno character is a dick." "Oh, thank you, chief. Why? Because you're the guy I talk about who, like, is the person trying to purposely jam up their fucking employees. Like, I'm the dick, you're the guy doing it. Get the like, you
Yeah.
know what I mean, dude? Like, so it's just this whole shift of, like, how you guys don't like the way things are, but you wanna leave things exactly the way they are. Or you're swinging a stick in a bag and screaming, 'Get back,' for fucking 40 hours in the academy. Are you fucking kidding me?"
Right. Yeah. It takes 2 weeks to learn how to swing a baseball bat. It does.
Dude, it is the biggest, like, and this is kind of the premise of, like, it started with this, "Hey, you can do different things. There's a better way to catch criminals, and here's constitutionality," to, like, I think this whole thing needs to be redone, and I'm just putting it out there, and I ruffle a lot of feathers. People get very frustrated because if you're the director of an academy and you like the fact that people march and jog and call cadence and fold flags and shine shoes, you're not gonna like me because the first thing I do is get rid of all that shit, right? Including PT. You're gonna get rid of PT? Yeah. Let's take all the stupid shit that we do that you'll never do again in your life and just go right to a jujitsu mat. That's it. I'll
Yeah.
start with that.
I've been pushing that every cop needs to be a blue belt minimum in jujitsu. I will admit that there are other martial arts out there that are just catch wrestling, judo, Muay Thai, boxing. I like all of
Can we
those
just agree
things.
not karate?
Oh fuck, not karate at all.
You know how many listen, so I have kids, right? 4 kids. So then like parents will be like, well, 3 of my kids are in jujitsu. Like, oh well, Stevie does karate. And I'm like, for what? To put a show on for his grandma? Like,
Right.
what are you in karate? They're
Like
like, oh,
he's
you
like
don't
a
think it's good? I'm
pre-broke
like,
board.
bring your fucking kids to my kids. My 2 middle ones have been doing jujitsu for over 2 years now. Bro, I watched a kid last weekend, um, same age, same size as my kid, literally try to take him down. And these are little guys, 48 pounds, 50 pounds. They're 7-year-olds. And like my son, like literally just stood there and was like almost chuckling at, and I'm not saying he's the toughest kid in the world. He's
Right.
got 2 years fighting experience, 2 to 3 times a week. When the kid, if you let that kid try to choke you out, he's 50 fucking pounds, 51 pounds. If you let him get a grip on you, he will choke you, right? And it'll hurt, and you're gonna have to tap on him if he's an adult, right? You're gonna have because you don't want to like slam him against the wall. You got to tap out.
Right.
I just watched this kid try to like take him down. He was like laughing. He was at a flag football game. He was like laughing. He's like just kept like stepping to the left, and the kid was doing his very best. He's like laughing. He's like looking at me like smiling.
Yeah.
And it came over. I'm like, pal, that's like why you go to jujitsu. Like you see the difference. Like you see the fucking difference when you and these. I actually sometimes have to tell these kids like you take it easy, right? Like you got to be careful with these other kids. Like I know you guys start fucking around. My kids actually won't turn on jujitsu if they're fighting with their friends. They just won't. They don't bring it out
Yeah.
if they're fighting with their friend. Like I'm glad of that, but at the same time, sometimes I'm like, yo, fucking end this shit. Like wrap this kid up, set the hooks, and fucking choke him out.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, all right, stop. He's done. He's done. The kid's done.
Yeah. My daughters, I had them in. They didn't take to it. as well as I hoped, but I'm not the parent to force them. They're
I am.
15 and 13,
You,
so
you don't have a choice here.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
it's
I
just
did.
not.
I did it for 6 months. I need a 6-month commitment. So they both gave me a 6-month commitment. Um, and they wanted to try other things, volleyball and all that stuff. I was like, as long as you're in something, cool. And then they tried
Dude,
it again, another 6 months.
they can do
Um,
whatever else they want. I know the reality of life,
yeah,
and there's nothing worse than the feeling of being helpless.
yeah,
And the last thing you want in this world is to feel helpless in a situation where, you don't know how to physically, especially in a world people are developing their fighting skills. And dude,
yeah,
the leverage factor on somebody who's good at jujitsu versus who isn't, it's
yep.
astounding.
That's
Like
why
it's
I'm such a proponent. I'm like, if you just got to the level of blue belt, and I'm not saying quit, don't just get there and quit, because I know by the time you get there, the light bulb will finally go off. But in police work, like that should be your standard. If you know you want to get into police work, that's the number one thing that everybody's like, what can I do to prepare to become a cop? Go start grappling. Go learn how to write. You do those two things, you do all right. Because if you know how to grapple, you'll know how to deal with just about everything. Um, and it's a weird transition, but your confidence level, the way you talk to people, everything about you will change simply because of your new confidence level with being able to handle somebody in a life or death situation, or maybe not even life or death, just whatever it is. I almost literally do not have the ability to get an adrenaline rush anymore in police work. Shootings I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm sure that it's possible, depends on what happens. It just hasn't happened. And I'm still in the streets, I'm still doing the job. I'm out there supervising, a bunch of young rookies, so I'm always on their calls with them, making sure that they're doing the right things, and if they got questions or whatever it is, I'm right there to guide them. But more importantly, I'm just there to have their back and let them know, like, whatever tools you need to get the job done, I'm here for you, but I'm not going to let you take a call by yourself. So, as much as
I'm
you
gonna
don't,
talk about inaction and consequences for a second. I'm gonna make a post about this
okay,
because I'm a genius.
because I'm a genius. Like
Yeah.
it.
Like the guy asked me today, he's like, "Do you guys still have those certain shirts in stock?" And I'm like, "Bro, I'm a fucking genius. I have no idea what the shelves have. Like, that's not my job here."
So, yeah, I'll get you one
I'm
though.
gonna have to really think this one through to put a good post out, but let's talk about inactions and consequences. Inaction, I don't wanna go to jitsu. Consequences, my face gets broken, I get killed, or I have to use deadly force because I didn't know what else to do and kill somebody, so now I've gotta spend an extra $50,000 on a fucking real attorney, not the bullshit one they give you off the list, to defend myself from going to jail. Consequences, inactions, I don't wanna read case law and understand the Constitution. Consequences, civil rights violations, um, unintended, suppressed evidence, bad reputation, no confidence from your agency. So, like, this goes on and on. Like, don't want to be proficient with shooting. Consequences. You get in a shootout, you don't win, you get shot. You get in a shootout, you shoot, but you don't hit your target. You get in a shoot, like, so like the significant consequences that people don't think about when you fail to take action as a professional. And I can't lay this completely on administration, but I will lay some of it on the administration. Stop waiting for these people to give you what you need. And that's why Street Cup University is so fucking beautiful, because we're not waiting for you or waiting for your administration to approve it because you can afford it. And
Yeah,
and guess what? You're going to get 15 to 25 full classes every year, and probably more than that, to be quite honest with you. I'm just shooting a low number valued at $5,000 of training. Guy with the crew cut in the fucking suit sitting at a fucking like, or almost, you ever see some of these, like, they look like the Sally Jesse Raphael sets or like the Maury sets. They're sitting there talking with the like the red cushion chairs. Like, I'm like,
yeah,
these guys think, and the crazy, like, they think they're doing a good job. Like,
yeah,
community relations. My name is Sergeant Joseph so and so.
yeah,
Blah 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 blah. Today we're going to talk about why it's important to have community relations. Like, you think you're doing a good job? Okay, keep making it easy for me.
yep,
People send this stuff to me, and I'm like, this is what you guys have to fucking train from.
yep,
It is garbage, and everybody, you're shaking your head. Yes, everybody fucking knows it. It's no secret.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Because
I
when you
give you
start,
fucking 25 classes a year for $99, and it's tax deductible for the year, right? It's less than $100. It comes out to like 650 a month after you write it off in your taxes. So you can't complain to me that I didn't get to go to training. I couldn't afford the training. I can't do any better for you. I sit here and record shit every fucking day. Better stuff. I just did a canine program for 30 minutes. You'll never have a canine question again. It's done.
It's beautiful. Now,
Yeah.
and the other thing too that I know about you that we haven't discussed, but you're accessible. Like if people have questions, like, well, in my state, this is what the rules are, and can you adjust? And you guys do. I know you do. I've heard.
Yeah, no,
From
I
people that,
try to like people always say, like, "I can't believe you actually got back to me." I'm like, "Dude, I I love this, and
yeah,
I love that you come here and I can give you the here's the facts, the things that I know that you don't. But guess what? You could know these too if you just took the fucking time to read it.
yeah,
But if you're not, I'll still take your money in exchange for my time." So people are like, "Oh, you do the math on a class." You're like, "Well, this guy makes a lot of money." Do I? Because I only get paid when people show up or when people's memberships renew. But I sit here, I mean, the minute my eyes open, I start thinking about it. I only take 1 day off a week, dude, and that's just to
yeah.
spend time with my kids, typically
Yep.
Saturdays. And even on Saturdays, I'll probably before they wake up, I knock out about 2, 3 hours worth of work, and then I have to disengage from it so I can be a dad,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
I mean, this podcast, I made it into an LLC. When I first started, I had no intentions of trying to make money or anything like that. I just wanted to see where it would go, how it would do, and it's evolved. 4 years running now into this monster that I would say monster into what it is. And I, if I could do this, if I could do this and not have to be a cop anymore, probably would. It's just when it comes to the marketing side, I'm still a cop. So I don't understand that whole side of thing. Um, but it's done and we'll talk offline about it, but it's done fairly decent. But yeah, I get that. The thing that I want to know is when you first started doing street cop, now you've got to you did this while you were a police officer still, correct? So as
yeah.
you start to build it, because this is what I love other officers to know is like, listen, you're not stuck in just doing police work. Like you can still go after and take what you've learned on the job and apply it to help you um, create other things. I've created this podcast. You've created your business with training, and there's other people that have done such great jobs. So I
I
want to
do
kind of
wanna
get to that.
jump in, and I have to jump in and cut you off because my ADD will because this is important because
I love it.
I've been seeing this a lot lately.
Do it.
I'm gonna throw something back at you and be a little bit of uh, what's the word they call it? An antagonist here,
I
not
love
a
it.
protagonist, an
Okay.
antagonist. There are some people making six-figure salaries as a police officer. That is way more than they can make anywhere else. True shit. So don't take for granted the fact that you get paid 150 grand a year base pay or 130,000 a year base pay because you are probably delusional to how much you're actually worth. And in the real world, you're probably worth 65. Now, that's one section of people. There's another section of people who you're making 130, but you're worth 740 and you're doing yourself a disservice. Okay, that's another section of people. And the other people are you're being paid appropriately. So I'm not counting the danger factor. I'm talking about as a job. What I've seen lately is people thinking that they are business people. Please have a very long conversation with yourself and ask yourself, am I somebody who has the discipline to go and start something? I really think most people should stay the fuck away from this. But for those who it's calling you and you want to try, go for it. But do 100 hours of research, please, on entrepreneurship. Like I went to this Andy Elliott, you know that guy, like he yells at people for not having six packs.
Yeah.
I get invited to like it's him and Bradley. So I went to this thing. It's like 50 people in a room, 60 people in a room, and I it wasn't for me. I certainly can appreciate what they've built. It wasn't for me. It just isn't. It just wasn't. I'm not saying anything bad. The guy, a very admirable growth of a company. I don't really know what they do, um, and I think whatever they do, they're obviously successful at it. Fantastic. But one part of the conversation at the beginning, he's like, guys, he's talking to a bunch of kids. He's like, business, it's so fucking hard. It's so much fucking harder than you think it is. And I'm in the back and I'm dying laughing. And the kid next to me is like, what are you laughing about? I'm like, that's the truest shit. And you don't even know what he means by that. You have no fucking clue. You have no idea what that means. And I probably me and a couple other guys in this room who actually know what that means to how hard business is.
Yeah.
Like, that's the fuck and I'm good at it, and that's the truth. And
Yeah.
that dude's good at it, and that's the truth. Because this shit is hard.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard emotionally. It's hard in the sense that you've gotta figure a lot of stuff out, but emotionally, man, if you don't have a good emotional intelligence, you're fucked. You can't run a business. It's impossible. You gotta have good emotional and you gotta be intelligent too, but it doesn't mean you're not working at your potential or you can do something else, but just like just be realistic with yourself if you're going to do something else. Like really be realistic with yourself. If you're on the verge of killing yourself because being a cop is just that, get the fuck out. Go make half the pay because you're better off being alive. Go be happy, make fucking 40,000 less a year, but be alive. We need you. We need you being. Don't lose your life over this fucking stupid job, right? And I say stupid job because you have a ton of pride with it, but it's still a fucking job. It's not worth your life. So I'll downplay it in the fucking sense of suicide. It's a fucking job. There's no reason to lose your fucking life over a fucking job. You will figure it the fuck out. So stop it. You're gonna be okay. I promise you that. Right? Like anybody can go bartend. They're fucking like, I don't want to. Like, okay, right, all right.
Yeah.
I'm willing
Absolutely.
to. I always tell people if I wrote an autobiography, I call it willing. I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I
Yeah.
just am. I'm willing. I'm just, bro. Like, and I don't mean that in the sense of an immoral path. I'm talking
Yeah.
about. I'm willing to put the like to go through. And I know we have a lot of time, but very briefly, I'll tell people I was the subject of a fucking hit piece, and a political hit job ran on me, and they fucking beat the piss out of me, destroyed a lot of my company, and it was a hard thing to go through. And I had to sit after all the years of work I put in, built, and all these lives changed. And I had to sit and say, all right, I can't be romantic with what I had. I have to be realistic with what I have. And the one thing I have is me. And I trusted me. And so once I got me back, I knew I'd be okay. But that's me, right? Like, that's how hard shit is. I mean, I'm on fucking medication, bro, from business, right? I'm on the Lexapro at 40 fucking 2 for the first time ever in my life because of business. Because I give a fuck so much that I'm willing to get my fucking face smashed in on behalf of every cop in this country because I believe in what I'm doing so much because I care about all these men and women. And you don't owe me a thing, but that's how fucking how willing I am to try to make the change I know is possible that I can do. That's how that's the when it says when you say how hard is business, I fucking like lost everything and like my life and my identity and all these things and spent fucking 4.5 months in a mental coma. And that's how hard business is. And if you're not willing to do that shit, then don't fucking get involved.
Yeah, I've had people reach out to me and they're like, Levine, man, I like what you do on your podcasts and stuff like that. Like I'm thinking about doing it myself." I'm like, "Okay, just know that anybody that starts a podcast or mine's more than just a podcast, but anybody that starts this, like, they don't usually make it past 10 episodes. That's kind of the average." And I was like, "So like kind of make sure this is something you want to get into so you don't waste the money." I'm not trying to discourage you, just like you're saying. If this is where your heart's at, like fucking go for it. I'm all about it. And I will guide you the best I can. I was like, but you got to understand, I'm putting 40 to 60 hours into what I do. That's why it looks the way it is.
Dude, listen, I got a million things to do. I'm gonna record. I recorded already an hour and a half podcast. We did this one.
Right.
Then I'm gonna do about 10 shorts that were 15 minutes apiece. So,
Yeah.
that's today, and then guess what? When I'm done, I have other things that I have to do.
Yeah. Family
I've been going since
obligations. And yeah.
5:15 in the morning. No, I'm in fact, fuck family obligations, like, right now, right? Like, I've been going since no, I'm serious, dude.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
a father. I'm gonna be there for them, but, like, like, that's not what the priority is at the moment. My kids don't need me right now. There's no fucking flag football game today or jujitsu or
Right.
jujitsu tournament, right? They have jujitsu tonight, but, like, yeah, no, like, that's not a priority right now. You want nice things, daddy has to work, and everybody understands that here.
Yep.
So, like, I do that out constantly, but, like, I've been going since I literally started at fucking 5:10 in the morning, and I'm gonna go tonight until I can't fucking think anymore, which probably happens around, like, 7:50 to 8:20, and then I'm done, dude, and then I
Yeah.
literally just go to bed and go to sleep and repeat process tomorrow,
Yeah.
and I worked out.
So I want to kind of jump to, can you give like a breakdown of exactly what street cop is? And then I want, if and I don't want to get any territory you're not willing to go into or can go into, but what was the political hit piece? Why were they coming after you?
So Street Cop Training is a police training company. Essentially, without trying to ruffle too many feathers,
Do it.
I am completely transparent, but I'm also not fucking stupid. So there will be a day where I will sit and go through every single fucking thing and how it unfolded when I feel like it's appropriate to do so.
Okay.
I just don't wanna hear the call from my attorney of like, "Why would you fucking do that?" Right?
Fair.
Um, and so for that, basically, in a nutshell, I would have to this day still the only police training company that's ever been investigated out of 150 plus police training vendors in the state of New Jersey. So you tell me how that's not a political nobody's even been looked at, nobody's been questioned. And there's a lot of things that happen that I'm gonna go into great detail once it's appropriate to do so, because I want people to know. I also don't live in the past either. I'm not sitting here trying to dwell on that story. That's not the story that I'm telling myself. But essentially, um, it was a very, very difficult thing to go through. And whatever it is that I did not equal the punishment that I received. And it was political. Politics were used to fucking beat me to piss, as hard as they possibly could. And, it wasn't a fun experience, to be honest with you. It was horrific, and it was full of, um it was a crazy experience to go through.
I know that anybody that I'm friends with in policing that had gone through street cop training loved it. Fucking loved it. I mean, spoke like you gotta go. You gotta go. When I started the podcast 4 years ago, everybody kept telling me you gotta get street cop guys on. And I'm like, I don't know any of them. Like, I don't know,
Why
like,
don't you
let
just
me
ask, dude? Why don't you
well,
just fucking ask?
I had just started. I was trying to figure out how to network and get a hold of people and stuff like that. So now no problem. But at the time, so every cop I respect that had gone through street cop training, and I'm not blowing smoke. If I was told your
No, I
training was
know the truth.
yeah, if I was told your training was garbage, I'm gonna be like, well, some of these guys didn't really care for it. But I never got that. The response I got back was it was the shit. And it was fun to have instructors sit up there and talk, and you knew that they weren't full of shit, that they'd actually been in the street and were doing the job for real. You're not getting that guy that, went up the
The
chain of
fruit cup
command
guy,
super
right?
fast and fucking like you got guys that were out there and did the shit. And then whatever they talked about, they were experts in. I was like, see, that's legit. Like you don't
Dude,
get
the
that.
cr the flat top guy, the flat top guy with the suit. That's not the guy you know what I mean? Like, the
Yeah.
flat top guy, you got that guy, you're just like, "Oh, no," right?
Yeah.
Here comes the flat top guy with the suit. Fuck, we're screwed.
Yeah. And when I heard that, I'm not gonna lie, I started kind of looking up like some videos that I could find. And this was a few years back, but I was sitting there, I was like, damn, I would love to do what they're doing. Like that would be fun. Like, do they do guest instructors? Because I teach all the time. I was a academy instructor, trying to change our just like you. I was so pissed off of my armbar takedown and like all this old school shit. And I'm like, use a Russian tie, use this, there's these things that are way more effective.
Pressure
And
point. Oh, those are the funniest thing,
oh,
like, here's a
PPT.
clavicle
Yeah.
pull,
Yeah.
right?
I'm like,
Fuck outta
have you
here.
been in a fight? Do you know how that shit doesn't work? You need this. And so I am glad to say where I'm at, our academy is very progressive, very open to change and
Good,
looking at
dude.
what
I'm
works.
fucking glad. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not here to ruffle feathers. I'm here to provoke change. I want you to fucking hear what I'm saying and put your ego to the side and say, "You're right, man. Like, I
Yeah.
don't need you to appease me. I need you to fucking hear me."
Yeah.
Right? Your program's from 1998, guys. It's time to fucking fix this shit. If you don't know how, I'm not asking you to reinvent it. Let us help you.
Yeah.
Right? It's not hard. I'm working on it. I'm giving you all this stuff. I actually have a whole program called Academy Tips that I'm writing right now for police academies. And it's volume 1, so it'd be 10 academy tips. And start doing jujitsu. Start implementing radio, using a radio from day 1, right? Like, why would you wait to develop a radio ear until you're in fucking field training? Makes no sense.
Right.
Then take your radios, do foot pursuits. Do 15, 20 mock foot pursuits so you know what it's like to be in a foot pursuit. Change people, change locations. So you don't call the same thing all the time. Then implement radios in jujitsu because we know we're fighting. We got to communicate on the radio. Like all these things that are so simple to do, just start fucking doing them, man.
Yeah.
Stop doing this. Get back, get back, get back. Nobody's ever gotten back, right? Nobody's ever, you don't need to know a 5 hour class on the fucking nomenclature of a handcuff with a 5 question quiz, you fucks.
You're so right. Oh,
I
shit.
know I'm right, but if you believe that you are the person who is the fucking king of this fucking academic institution, and I'm challenging the things that you have built your identity around these dumb fucking Xerox tests, like I'm the asshole, right? Because I'm challenging the things that you believe in. But who is telling the truth? And every person I say that to laughs and says, "You're so right." But they don't laugh and say, "You're right," when you say that, "No, we teach these guys what a long end portion of a baton is and a power safety tip." Nobody needs to know, or the heat units of oleoresin capsicum, right? Or what a hydraulic needle effect is, or what the ulnar bone is, and how you could
Yeah,
damage the ulnar nerve. Like, what are you doing? Like, there's so
yeah,
many things we could learn. Like, how not to die, move and shoot. Right? Like there's all these things out there's so many resources, and you guys still do the same stupid shit that doesn't work all the
yep.
fucking time. And you're still sending fucking cops out there to fail consistently. And you're okay with it because like your ceremony looks fantastic.
Yeah, you know how to
You're
march.
not,
Congratulations.
dude.
You're never
And I like nothing nuts when these guys get up and they're just like, they got who do they put on stage? They don't fucking honor the recruits. They honor who? The fucking freeholders and the fucking county officials and this chief, and they're fucking blowing each other. Well, like, bro, you just had 60 fucking men and women go through this whole thing. It's their day. Let's make it about their day. I want
yeah,
to thank Captain So and So for providing us with high C fruit punch on the hottest day of the summer. Like, what are you,
yeah,
and if it wasn't for this guy, and then our keynote speaker is just some dude who's friends with somebody. He's like, "Oh, I was an FBI agent for 25 years. And what I can tell you is," and they're just like, "This guy's the most boring guy in the world.
yeah, and he
Why
has
did you
no
let him
clue
teach
about
us?"
police work.
Bro, like, just make it about these guys. And the kicker is, we're the best training institution in this state. Like, no, you're not. Just stop. You're not innovative. You could say that all you want, tell yourself the story all you want. It's not
Yeah,
true. And
yeah,
so just stop saying it. Stop making it about these guys, about these fucking other people besides the people who were there, and like the families are watching. Like, up next, I'd like to introduce Major so and so from our fucking criminal investigations division. When I met this group of guys and girls, I told them a story about when I was a kid and found the stone, and so I'm going to tell you the stone story. And like it's like 18 minutes later, and that's what I did with the stone. And you're just like, what?
How did we get here?
Fucking Instagram the whole time. Like, what was that?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Um,
Crazy, dude.
now, if any cops out there listening to this and they're like, "Okay, street cop, cool. Our training sucks. I know it sucks. How in the world do I start getting a hold of street cop to get their
Dude,
training?"
yeah, streetcop.com, dude. The university is the game-changing product. Not like I'm just helping you make a decision, to let you know that it exists. You don't have to buy. It's a 7-day free trial. This is not a pitch. Like, it exists. If you want to learn how to be a cop, it's $6.50 a month. Or you can buy a fucking Chick-fil-A sandwich every month with that $6.50. So tell me it's not worth it. And I'll like people were paying fucking $1,000 for this thing. I made it $99 because all we heard was like, I can't afford it. So I'm like, all right, make it 99 bucks. And like my staff's like, we're gonna lose all this money. I'm like, I don't, this is true shit. Like, this went on for a while. I'm like, I don't care. And they're like, dude, we're losing all this money. I'm like, I don't care. There are 750,000 cops in this country, and I have a couple thousand in a fucking like, I don't care. I don't, that's not what I made this for. I didn't make this to make money. I need to make money. I want to make money. I'm not kidding you. I deserve to make money, but I didn't make it to make money. I made it so you don't fucking die. And I had to charge something for it, and I can afford to do it if everybody joins in on it. But I made it for you so you don't die and you follow the Constitution. That's what really my goal is here. And guess what, guys? If I wanted money, I got offered multiple, my hand to God, I got offered multiple jobs this summer for 7 figures, low 7 figures. So that's a million plus with fuck to go CEO a few companies, right? Because people heard that I was available, people that I knew, and were like, hey, I have this company, I have this company, I have that company. We need a CEO, we need a CEO, we need a CEO. I need a partner. I need this. Really talented people too. I got a division, open it up. I could start you at like 750,000 a year plus bonus of 20%. You'll at least make 1.5 million. And I declined them. And I went through the roughest 2 years of my financials ever in my life. And I said, I can't do it. And
Yeah.
I'm trying to tell you, you don't owe me anything for this. Like, I'm not trying to brag about this. I was just like, of all the times in my life where I could say yes to $1,000,000 a year, I said no because I can't live knowing that I can help all you motherfuckers and I don't. I can't drink that story, dude. It doesn't is I can't do it. I just can't. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. It is
It's
what it is. I'll take
inherent in the policing. I mean, it's your serviceman's heart. That's the way I like to
service.
call it.
It's my service to humanity,
Yeah.
bro. Like the proof is there. Follow us on Instagram, Street Cop Training, right? Read the fucking posts, read the stories. I don't make it up. I don't sit here and conjure up success stories of how people's lives were saved. I'm gonna
Yeah.
make every cop in this fucking country equal to the fucking if they participate in it, equal to the level of a paramedic. I can't give you a paramedic license, but I'll make you equal to it in your training, right? Because like, why aren't we paramedics? Oh, I know why. Because we're swinging sticks at bags and calling cadence. That's why we're not paramedics. Because you could have taken 3 weeks at the academy, done a high-speed paramedic course with some real good instructors. You would
Yeah.
have cops that know how to like train the trainer. I
Right.
went to train the trainer for a tourniquet application.
Fuck
If
you.
your tourniquet applicator trainer is a fucking train the trainer student, you're fucked.
Yep.
Just so you know.
Yep. I agree. All
And I
right.
get it. Agency's like, well, what do you want us to do? Da da da. I'm like, that's why I made it so cheap. People they still call like, what's the agency rate? I'm like, guys, it's $8.20 a month before taxes, right? Like before you deduct it. That's a cheap. I'm asking for $100 a year per person,
Yeah.
right? $99. It's done. That's it. There's no. You got 30,000 guys you need it. Give me a shout. You got 3,000 guys you need it. Give me a shout. You got
Now,
12 guys at your agency. I'm not asking for a lot. We're putting a
yeah.
lot in there.
So, my question is like for let's say here in Texas, we're T-Cole certified and all that stuff. If we were to do that at where my agency is the curriculum transfer over to T-Cole credits and stuff like
And
that?
this is another thing, dude. Like you can make programs that transfer to T-Cole, or you can make programs that save and help cops.
No,
And so the bottom line is, yeah, they do, but like, you all got to get off this bullshit of like, do I get credits for it? Motherfucker, you don't even know what you're doing on the goddamn road. You know nothing. So I don't spend my time trying to fucking get T-Cole to approve every single, and we're gonna, but like
yeah,
right now, I need to get that information out to you because for free on the website, as an order today was how to not die in the line of duty for the free program you can watch on our fucking website when you go to the university link. Like they're like, oh, which one do you want to put out that like is like a sample of what's going on in the event? I'm like, give them the fucking one how not to die in the line of duty, and then there's like 20 more how not to line of duty videos inside the university.
yeah,
So like, yes, we're going to be in the process of getting everything approved. However, stop waiting for everything to be approved. Go
gotcha.
get the training you think you need because I got to tell you, they don't give a fuck how many T-calls you have when they're fucking putting fucking 6 feet of dirt over your fucking ass, and
Yep.
that's the truth.
Or you're in a court fighting for your
Or you're in
life.
a courtroom going to jail for 3 years because you didn't know what the fuck you were doing.
Yep, I agree. Yeah, that's a great point.
Stop. Everybody needs to calm the fuck down about making sure they get. I get it. You need to get those credits done. Don't look at it like we'll get those for you, right? But don't start with that because that's where you're going to find yourself finding things that are credit approved versus what you actually need.
Fair. I mean, you're not getting
And,
T-Cole credits for your jujitsu gym, but you do it. I mean, for those that take it serious. So
yeah,
I mean,
I know.
it's absolutely fair point. All right, brother. We'll wrap this up.
Yeah, get me out of here, bro. I had enough of this shit.
I know. I appreciate you. I'm glad to know this is the first time we've really sat down and talked. So I'm glad to know that your sense of humor is very similar to my own. So I think I think we'll be using you a little bit more down the line if you're open to it.
Yeah, I'm not doing 2 hours again, but that's cool.
No, nothing like that. Yeah, I told you it flies by, and everybody likes to talk to me. So you're welcome for my
Flew
service.
by because I made it fly by because I'm very interesting.
God, we're gonna get along so well. I love it. All right, bro. I'm gonna end this. Everybody,
By the
thank
way,
you for listening.
come to our fucking conference, dude. We have our conference, Nashville, Tennessee, May 27th through May 28th. It's the shit. Check out our lineup at streetcop.com. Dude, the conference is nuts. You got to come to that.
Hell yeah. All right, brother.
Downtown Nashville, May 27th through 29th. You better be there. I did your stupid fucking podcast. Now show up to my conference.
I like it. Sounds good. Hang out for a second while I end this. Take it easy, guys.